I'm just so bad at sitting quietly in an online room, so I feel compelled to say we're going to get started in a few minutes. So welcome and thank you for joining us and welcome. And we're going to get started momentarily.
James,
I'm here. Are you
I
ready
have,
to get started?
yeah, I have it open on my YouTube on my iPhone. Did I interrupt anything or should I close it?
No. Well, yes, do close that because it'll
Oh,
echo for you, but only
okay,
after like a weird 30-second lag.
okay,
Trust, I've been there before.
okay. That's what I thought. Let me ask. Okay, we're good. We're
Well, then
good.
I think I love that this is let's get started. Let's get started.
All right, let's get started. So, welcome everyone. Good evening and welcome to the annual Jose Munoz Award given to an LGBTQ community leader or activist for their advocacy and promotion of LGBTQ studies. This year, of course, we are honoring the iconic Miss Major. My name is Laura Westengard. I am the board co-chair of CLAGS, and I'm joined with my fellow co-chair, James Harris.
Hello, good evening, welcome. Thank you for being here. CLAGS was founded in 1991 as the first university-based research center in the United States, dedicated to the study of historical, cultural, and political issues of vital concern to LGBTQ individuals and communities. CLAGS nurtures cutting-edge scholarship, organizes and co-sponsors events for examining and affirming LGBTQ lives, and fosters network building among academics, artists, activists, policymakers, and community members. CLAG stands committed to maintaining a broad program of public events, online projects, and fellowships that promote reflection on queer pasts, presents, and futures.
And we could not do this without all of you. Your support is critical to establishing a legacy dedicated to the study of LGBTQ plus historical, cultural, and political issues. So please consider clicking on the link that will soon be dropped in the chat and making a donation to CLAGS tonight. Your gift affords our community and scholars the opportunity for one-of-a-kind experiences that celebrate scholarship, art, and activism from the voices of the LGBTQ community. So whether your gift is $10 or $100 or $1,000, it has significant impact on the lives of students and our community now and in the future, and maybe more importantly than ever right now. So again, I invite you to click on the link that we will drop in the chat and donate to CLAGS tonight. So now I'm going to turn it over to our ED, our Executive Director of CLAGS, Dr. Justin Brown.
Hello, good evening, everyone, and welcome to our wonderful event this evening, our Jose Esteban Munoz Award that is given out on an annual basis. And I want to just take a few moments to mention that tonight we are honoring Miss Major as our honoree for this year. Unfortunately, Miss Major is not able to join us this evening. However, we are wonderful to have her family here, Miss Tracy O'Brien here on her behalf. And we will hold her up and are holding her up tonight. I want to just also first mention that the Jose Esteban Munoz Award was created to honor an LGBTQ community leader or activist for their advocacy and promotion and dedication to the field of LGBTQ studies, the trans community, and our overall advocacy and trailblazing and pioneering for our community. Jose Esteban Munoz was a pioneer in LGBTQ studies. He was the author and editor of several books that grappled with issues of race, gender, and sexuality, including Cruising Utopia, the politics and performance of queer futurity and disidentifications, queers of color, and the performance of politics. He was also a professor and former chair of the Department of Performance Studies at New York University's Tisch School of the Arts, and he passed away in December of 2023. I do want to take a moment to also now introduce a testimonial that we have this evening from Dean Spade. Dean is the Wismer Professor for Gender and Diversity at Seattle University School of Law, where he teaches administrative law, poverty law, gender and law, policing and imprisonment, professional responsibility, and law and social movements. Prior to joining the faculty of Seattle University, Dean was a Williams Institute Law Teaching Fellow at UCLA Law School and also Harvard Law School. Dean has been working to build queer and trans liberation based in racial and economic justice for the past 2 decades. Dean is the author of Normal Life, Administrative Violence, Critical Trans Politics, and the Limits of Law. A second edition with new writing was published in 2015 by Duke University Press. Also in 2015, Dean released a 1-hour video documentary, Pinkwashing Exposed, Seattle Fights Back. And also one of Dean's latest books and ventures is Mutual Aid, Building Solidarity During This Crisis and the Next. So with that, we will now take a few moments and listen to our testimonial speaker, Dean Spade.
Justin, I don't know if we're not hearing. Oh.
Just a few technical difficulties. One moment, and we should be ready. Try this again.
Well, it's not Zoom without some adventure.
Of course, it worked perfectly in our tech run through, as always occurs. So have patience with us in just a moment.
Justin, while you work on this, I'm very selfishly just going to pitch something else we're working on, which is that here in Clagsland, we've got some really exciting projects going on for, ongoing for fall. And so this spring, we started off our Queer of Color, Trans of Color Conversation series, which was an invitation for different scholars in the field of sort of queer and trans of color studies to come and share their thoughts. And we are continuing that series into the fall. We've got some really, really exciting people lined up. So Marshall Green is going to be joining us on September 30th. Amber Musser is on the calendar for, I want to say it's October 16th, but let me double check, and you should double check at clags.org to make sure that's right. Lou Cornum will be around for November 30th. We've got some really exciting people coming up in the spring. We don't have official dates yet, but Tavia Nyong'o will be there. Martin Joseph Ponce will be there. Oh, wait, there's more. Renyo Huang will be there. It's a really great collection of really great thinkers that we're super excited to share the ideas and sort of insights with you. And so we really, really hope that you will join us for that series this fall, along with our Works in Progress series. There's a lot of really exciting energy and things happening in Clagsland. I did all that realizing that I didn't have a camera on. It doesn't matter because you were looking at the person who you need to see, which is the interpreter. But yeah, really, really cool and exciting things happening. And so, yes, I hope that you will stick with us through the fall. I hope that you will join us next week. Is it next week, Laura? Correct me if I'm wrong about this. We actually have a collaboration upcoming with the Museum of Modern Arts. We're doing a writing club. We're going to get a bunch of people together to think and write queerly up in MoMA as a space, which I think is actually, correct me if I'm wrong about this, if you sign up for writing club, do you get free admission to MoMA?
You do, yeah. So I will post a link in the chat, and you all will be the first to have access to this announcement that CLAGS and MoMA are collaborating on a special Pride Month version of the MoMA Writing Club, which asks folks to come to the museum, and a special facilitator highlights a handful of specific pieces in the collection and provides writing prompts that asks you to respond and reflect about those. And then there's also an online version for those folks who can't come in person to the museum. So yes, this is at the end of June. It is going to be June 28th is the online version, and June 29th is the writing club at MoMA. And I will send you a link to RSVP in the chat. Now, if Donna is not able to get the testimonial video to play with audio, we may have to just shuffle our programming a bit and move it on to Justin to introduce Toshio. So Donna, checking in with you. How are things going on your end?
Hi, yeah, let's shuffle. The audio's not working right now. I'll work on it.
Okay, thank you very much. Justin?
All right. So we keep moving on. So we will be so next I would just like to take this moment, and I will also move it to our main focus for this evening, for bringing in Toshio to speak about and talk a bit about the book that's recently been released. And so I'm just going to share my screen. Miss Major, Conversations with Black Trans Revolutionary speaks. I would like to take a couple of moments and first introduce Toshio. Toshio Maronic is a writer focusing on housing and queer politics in the Bay Area, where they produce and host the podcast Sad San Francisco. Their reporting features has been featured in Al Jazeera, The Nation, and Truth Out. And their work also appears in anthologies, including Captive Genders, Trans Embodiment in the Prison Industrial Complex, Counterpoints, a San Francisco Bay Area Atlas of Displacement and Resistance, Trap Door, Transcultural Production and the Politics of Visibility, and also Surviving the Future, Abolitionist Queer Strategies. So without further ado, I will turn it over to Toshio.
Thank you, Justin, and also wanted to say thank you to everyone for hosting. I guess that's, well, and I'm sorry that we couldn't hear Dean speak, but Dean has been around since before I was around. Met Major about 10 years back. So definitely looking forward to checking out that video later on. Also wanted to thank Laura, Donna, Jasmina, Justin, James, and our interpreters. Of course, also want to thank Miss Tracy for being here for Major. We were going to have a conversation between the two of us, but instead, I hope it's all right if I read from this book, the introduction to our book, Miss Major Speaks, which is the result of Major and I spending a lot of time together over the last 10 years, and also a result of Major allowing me to record a lot of our conversations and her conversations with friends. Was up in her personal space for the last few years, and it gave me the chance to hear a lot of wisdom, both from her and then of course also people like Miss Tracy and Dean, all of her close friends and comrades without whom this book would not exist. And I guess I would also I'll introduce the introduction, which is called Still Fucking Here, which is something that Major has said time and again. It's appropriate today. I know that she'll be watching this, and so we could consider her still fucking here in a way. I'll just start. Okay. For more than 50 years, Miss Major has played the crucial role of surrogate mother and grandmother to countless trans and queer people around the world. The price of getting to this point has been high. The lives of two of the 3 people she's called the loves of my life, 5 totaled pre-1977 Cadillacs, 2 homes destroyed by fire, both of her original kidneys, an eye, a toe, and all but 1 tooth, which she called Snaggle, that stuck to her gums solo for years before she drove to Dallas, Texas on her 70th birthday and treated herself to a new set. Major has surpassed the expectations of those she calls the powers that be, the corporate, government, and nonprofit actors who work to preserve the status quo, and the forces in the world who want us all to fit into our proper places in an established social hierarchy from which they can look down on us and make sure we don't fuck with the money and privilege they hoard. And to get under their skin even more, she has a good time, modeling a tremendously joyful resistance that has inspired thousands of people to do the same, including me and so many of the people I love. To us, Major is a hope-giving anomaly who wipes away cynicism and helps us believe that better worlds are at once possible and worth fighting for. Major's driver's license lists her date of birth as October 25th, 1946. Her parents raised her and her 2 siblings, Cookie and Sargent, off the salaries of a United States Postal Service administrator and a beauty shop manager during the first few years when a Black middle class began to grow in cities like Chicago. There, she graduated high school at 16, and her family paid to send her to college in Minnesota, where she knew she'd find the corn-fed white boys she was into at the time. In the dorms, she was placed with a roommate who couldn't keep a secret, and after he discovered her suitcase of femme clothing, she left school before the first term was over. So Major went back to Hyde Park to live with her parents, whom she loved despite their recurring attempts to smack the queen out of her. Once a month, she trekked 3 hours up to Riverview, an amusement park on the north side where she bought hormones from a dealer who held office hours under a rickety wooden roller coaster. Major hadn't even turned 20 when her mother declared that Chicago wasn't big enough for the 2 of them. So Major and a friend stole a car and took off in the direction of New York City. They were so eager to leave that a cop pulled them over for speeding before they had made it past the city limits. Major wound up in jail for 6 months. But her determination to get out of Chicago didn't waver, and from jail, she deputized her little sister Cookie to collect money for a bus ticket to New York. Cookie had rarely missed a chance to rat out Major for testing arbitrary social boundaries, including experimenting early on with their mom's shoe collection, but she made up for her past transgressions by delivering the money to cover the bus fare. After arriving in New York, Major called up her aunt, an administrator at Goldwater Memorial Hospital on Roosevelt Island, to ask for a job. Aunt Alpha had a strict requirement Major would go by another name, Rodriguez, so that her aunt wouldn't be known as the supervisor who threw her fag nephew a bone. Major lasted 6 months in the morgue. The experience didn't go to waste as her familiarity with makeup increased with the body count, but she'd come to New York to perform, not to paint. The Apollo Theater had an established drag show called the Jewel Box Review, which Major had first seen in Chicago during one of the group's cross-country tours. Posters promised the most exciting deception in the world, starring 25 men and 1 girl. During the week-long Chicago run, Major had dressed in her stuff and spent nights at the stage door until she met the stage manager and charmed her way onto the cast, taking on a backup role when one of the regular cast members fell ill. She rejoined the cast in New York. Trans women, especially Black trans women, still have few job options that offer a living wage. The stage shows at the Apollo didn't pay enough to survive, but sex work did, as Major learned through other performers at the Jewel Box. One night, working the avenues in Lower Manhattan paid the bills faster than the drag shows and the morgue combined. Major learned how to clock undercover cops and further refined her ability to sweat charm, gliding between the social groups that claimed territory on the avenues and clients of all sorts. One client was a state legislator from Albany who helicoptered Major and another friend to the state capitol for an all-night shift that paid as much as a month's worth of regular hooking. The worst Johns were the police officers, who paid not in cash, but in fewer arrests. The energy it took to get a cop off was usually preferable to the alternative, time inside some kind of cage. After an arrest, Major would emerge from a patrol car with wrists bruised from the handcuffs, her forehead puffy from impact with the car door when the officer had pushed her inside. Usually, the destination was the closest precinct jail for one night or 5, as when Major was knocked out and tossed into a paddy wagon during the 1969 riots against a police raid at the Stonewall Inn. Even at a time when the West Village was ruled by queens, the Stonewall was one of the few gay bars in the neighborhood where trans people weren't immediately turned away at the door by gays and lesbians, who were often as vicious as anyone toward the girls. At the time, most of New York's gay bars were owned by mafiosos who kept them open by paying off the NYPD and its vice squads. Still, raids were common, and to Major, who was probably the most notorious living veteran of the Stonewall Rebellion, a night involving the police was just another night downtown. At other times, the patrol car would stop at Bellevue Hospital, a psychiatric asylum that was a dumping ground for girls during Major's 20s in the 1960s. The hospital's Pavilion for the Insane was a predecessor to maximum security civil commitment hospitals, where most patients are held indefinitely under threat of force by corrections officers, barbed wire topped walls, and the newest surveillance technology. The psychologists in charge of Bellevue did their own policing, enforcing the government's anti-queer laws and controlling their patients' freedom. Just as Major and the girls cop watched for each other while on the streets, they taught each other the particular words and facial expressions that could win the sympathy of the psych doctors and nurses at Bellevue. These tricks also included reciting in your head all of the titles of the books on the doctor's shelf as he attached your genitals to a plethysmograph, an unscientific device still deployed in a few states used to determine person's sexuality by monitoring their blood flow as they watch a slideshow of erotic photos. I'm going to skip ahead to Major moved from New York. She actually spent some time in Utah, which I don't know, I don't believe we included in the book, and ended up meeting Miss Tracy in San Diego, and then headed up to San Francisco, which is where I met her. She was living in Oakland about 10 years back. And so from the intro, when I became a speck of space dust in the galaxy of Major, she was already an icon in the coastal queer capitals of New York City and the Bay Area. It was 2010, and I was in San Francisco, where I subsidized writing by walking the dogs of gays who worked in the tech industry and selling fake designer handbags on eBay. And when I met Major, the situation in San Francisco is such that the gap between people with a lot of wealth and very little wealth is so extreme that you have situations like, wanted to mention the case of Banco Brown, around which people are still organizing here. He was a trans man that was killed by a security guard at a Walgreens. Definitely check out the Banco Coalition online for more info on that. Yeah, I'll stop there with the reading, but just wanted to say, yeah, thank you again, Major, when you watch this, for letting me be part of your story in some small way. We're all, or I consider myself, one of Major's kids, and I know that she has so many people that consider themselves the same all across the world, and she is someone that deserves to be celebrated again and again. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Toshio, for that. And it's always eye-opening and deepening, and just the emotion that you feel and hear that comes through in your words. And we can't thank you enough for being here and honoring Miss Major with us tonight in this event. I wish you can just read the whole book to us, but we can't do that. We want to make sure that we make sure that individuals do please go and get a copy of this incredible, amazing book as soon as you can, if you have not already. So with that, I do want to turn it back over, and we will see if we are able now to play the testimonial from Dean Spade.
If we are unable to get the audio to play, no worries. We can, this event right now is being live streamed on our YouTube, and it will live there in the future on our CLAG's YouTube channel. And so we will also be able to post the testimonial video of Dean Spade there, along with the ceremony tonight. So we will definitely make that available to all of you, and we will share it with Miss Major and make sure that she sees the beautiful piece that Dean prepared. So no worries, we'll get that to you.
Sorry, this is
Donna?
the
Yes.
GC guy, Chris. Sorry, guys, to interrupt. It's possible that there's a copyright block on the audio and video. You guys can see the video, but the audio is possible to have a copyright block on it. For some reason, I'm trying everything over here in the GC to get you guys up, and it does not work whatsoever. So it's possible that Zoom it's not our end. It's it could be Zoom blocking the audio. So
Genuinely, thank you for clarifying that. I kind of suspected as much. And so thank you for clarifying that. That's very helpful to know. Thank you.
Yeah, certain things with Zoom, I'm just giving you a little FYI very fast. Zoom is notorious, like YouTube and Facebook, if it's from a paid subscription service, they are notorious for doing that as well. So just a little FYI, if you're getting like a video from Zoom, like someone recorded something, it's pretty much technically under the copyright protection laws, that they block the audio constantly. So unfortunately, I'm so sorry I can't get you guys to hear the video.
There's something so unsettlingly, wonderfully queer about that answer. And I wish Miss Major were here so that she could weigh in on it. That's wild. And I'm filing it all away for like the future class action lawsuit we will all inevitably need to file against Zoom. But that's okay
Yes.
because that is not today's problem. That is tomorrow's problem. Today, we are celebrating an icon. And so, yeah. Let's go back to the face. Thank you so much for that. That's
No
very
problem.
helpful.
Again, have a good evening, guys. Donna, I'm going to call you in a couple of seconds. Thanks, guys. Be well.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll turn it back over to Justin Brown then to talk a little bit more about the award and present it to Miss Major from afar, and then Miss Tracy will accept on her behalf.
Thank you, Laura. And so I do, not that we don't need any introduction to Miss Major, but I will just digress for a moment, and I just wanted to mention a few words. Miss Major is sorry about that. Perfect. Okay. As we all know, Miss Major is a Black transgender activist who has fought for over 50 years for her transgender nonconforming community. Major is a veteran of the infamous Stonewall riots, a former sex worker and a survivor of Dannemore Prison in Bellevue Hospital's Queen Tank. Her global legacy of activism is rooted in her own experiences, and she continues her work to uplift transgender women of color, particularly those who have survived incarceration and police brutality. Miss Major's fierce commitment and intersectional approach to justice brought her to care directly for people with HIV/AIDS in New York City in the early 1980s, and later to drive San Francisco's first mobile needle exchange. As director of the TGI Justice Project, she'd returned to prisons as a mentor to her girls inside. She now runs House of Gigi, a retreat center for trans and gender nonconforming leaders from the Southern United States, in Little Rock, Arkansas. Her recent creative projects include executive producing the series Trans in Trumpland and Miss Major Speaks, the book that we've heard from a bit this evening. So without any further ado, I would just like to take this opportunity to welcome again Miss Tracy, and as we honor Miss Major as this year, the 2023 Jose Munoz Award, we present this to Miss Major for her significant contributions to transgender nonconforming activism and advocacy, and for the LGBTQI+ community. Thank you, and many, 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 much more to come. Miss Tracy.
Thank you, Justin, and thank you, Clags, and thank you, Laura and Donna and James, for this honor. It is my honor to be here on behalf of Miss Major Griffin Gracie, and I must reiterate something that Toshio said. Toshio made the reference of joyful resistance. That's not half of it, okay? There was no joy in her resistance. There was change, and change in her resistance, and continues to this day to be changing her resistance. This is my sister. This is my sister, Miss Major Griffin Gracie, okay? She is the pioneer of the transgender movement. Like Toshio said, she transitioned in the late 60s, when at a time when being trans and Black and homeless and in prison was very, very, very challenging. And Major persevered. Major is a 6'4", almost 200 and something pound African-American trans woman that commanded her space. Commands her space and the attention of those. And she works really tirelessly to make sure that those coming behind her are taught the best way to survive. It's all about surviving as trans people and gender non-binary people. Our road is somewhat different than other L or G people. We have a presentation that's different from society. So we are faced with stresses every day, on the daily, all day long. And Major Sand is a testament to give us strength to stand above these types of issues, to be strong in these types of issues, and to make change in our community. And I'm also going to say that Major has, House of Gigi's Talifi, which is short for Tell It Like It Fucking Is. And this is Miss Major's field. This is her grace, how she interacts like with governors, with communities, with politicians, with police, to make sure that the message is heard. And you might wonder why she's in Little Rock. Well, she's in Little Rock because, as we all know, this political season, that the services are very minimal there, and the politicians and legislation are trying to shun us and put us back in the closet. But you know what? Like Major says, the change has already happened. They need to get used to it. So I stand here in honor to accept this award from CLAG on behalf of my sister, Miss Major Griffin Gracie, Executive Director of House of Gigi's Talifi, Tell It Like It Fucking Is, in Little Rock, Arkansas. And we don't have retreats, we have family gatherings, because we are a family. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Tracy, for being here. And I love it, right? Tell it like it fucking is the way that to stand and live and continue to be. And you're right, in the time and period that we're in today, it's fearful to see things cycle and come back, and we see the retreat, but we just have to keep pushing on and moving on. So thank you. And thank you all for being here. I want to turn it back over to our board co-chairs, Laura and James, from here.
Thank you so much, Miss Tracy. I love seeing that photo that you're showing us in your screen. It's fantastic.
This is from this bigger picture is from the premiere of her documentary, Major. This is for 2017, I think, Toshio. And this picture here is from the 10th anniversary of BTAC, where Ms. Major held court in her hotel suite. And we had lines of community members around the hotel waiting to just to share space with Major Griffin Gracie.
That's fantastic.
Truly an astounding legacy, and one that now, I mean, we keep saying now more than ever, and maybe the point is it never ceases to matter, the work that we do and the work that Miss Major has done and the work that Miss Major's children do. And it's vital and it's important, and it won't ever stop being a thing that has to be done. And so there's something really beautiful about seeing that legacy in action. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing.
Yes, and then one more thing, House of Gigi during the pandemic gave many grants to young Black trans-led organizations that are now doing wonderful work across the South and Florida, Mississippi, Little Rock, all over those important places where services are minimal. So I'm really proud to say the House of Gigi's Ms. Major had made sure that these new nonprofits have a foundation.
I mean, truly, that's like the most important kind of work, right? Like building something sustainable for future generations. And it's such an honor for CLAGS to sort of like just get to be a part of the legacy of people that are like doing this kind of work, and to sort of like I don't know, whatever giving people their roses are, right? To say like, we see you and we appreciate everything you're doing, and we just want you to know that from here in the community, we really love and value everything that you guys do and bring to us.
Definitely, definitely.
And so we will pass the word on, and we will do everything we can to get you access to Dean's really brilliant and beautiful thoughts, which you will find on YouTube, where you will also find this. And you will have a million other opportunities to engage with us at clags.org, where you can donate, where you can follow, where you can find out about future events, where you can propose an event of your own if you have a cool idea you want us to hear about. We're always happy to hear from you. Info at clags.org. Find us, let us find you, and let's continue to do the incredible queer work that makes sort of Pride the thing, right? Here, we're celebrating the month. So I think maybe it's time to return Pride to being not just a protest, but like a protest with a purpose. And to that end, there's a season of festivals and whatnots, and we wish you all safety and solidarity, and we hope nothing but to see you at MoMA in a week and a half, and then to see you in the fall. And in order for that to happen, you have to stay safe and happy and alive.
And we truly wish that for all of you. Thank you so much for joining us tonight and honoring Miss Major. Thanks to Toshio, to Miss Tracy, to our ASL interpreters, Cynthia and Marianne. And thank you so much, James, Justin, and Donna, for your support tonight. We will be in touch. Sign up for our newsletter. Come see all the fun things we're doing and important things we're doing in the fall. And have a great summer, everybody.
Thank you. Coach,